Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same self-destructive patterns? No matter how much you try to change, why anger erupts out of nowhere, why anxiety grips you when nothing is wrong, why you chase success, love, and approval, only to feel empty when you get it? The truth is, the real reason for your emotional suffering isn't out there. It's hidden inside you, in the part of you that you've been taught to reject. The part you've never dared to face. Carl Jung called it the shadow. And if you don't master it, it will master you. This isn't just another self-help video. This is a no-fluff, step-by-step psychological deep dive into the most powerful concept in Jungian psychology, the shadow, and how it silently controls your emotions, your relationships, and your identity. This course will show you how to uncover it, confront it, and integrate it into a stronger, more resilient self. You'll learn how your social mask, the persona, feeds your emotional fragility. You'll see how the shadow causes anxiety, rage, guilt, and shame. And most importantly, you'll be shown exactly how to free yourself from it. This is not passive content. This is a personal challenge. A confrontation with everything in you that's been hidden, denied, and feared. But if you stay to the end and do the inner work, you will walk away with something most people never find: deep emotional freedom. Are you ready to see what's been controlling your life from the shadows? Are you ready to reclaim your mind and become someone truly unshakable? Then let's begin. What if the greatest threat to your peace of mind was not out there in the world, but buried deep inside you, silently pulling the strings of your every thought, emotion, and decision? Most people live their entire lives fighting symptoms, anxiety, anger, guilt, depression, never realizing these are not random afflictions, but messages from the most powerful and dangerous part of their psyche, the shadow. Carl Jung taught that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we will call it fate. That is the brutal truth. What you refuse to face in yourself does not go away. It hides, it festers, and it controls you from the dark. You think you're angry because of someone else's behavior, but the rage has lived inside you for years. You think you're anxious because life is uncertain, but what's really tormenting you is the unbearable gap between who you are and the mask you wear. You think your sadness is circumstantial, but it's the voice of something repressed calling from the depths of your soul. The shadow is everything you do not want to be, but already are. It includes the emotions you were told to suppress as a child, the impulses you were taught to feel ashamed of, and the parts of yourself you learned to reject in order to survive. The more you push these parts away, the more they grow in power. And here's the tragedy: most people never face them. They live behind a mask. They strive to be good, to be liked, to be accepted, never realizing that in doing so, they have become emotionally fragile, reactive, and lost. This course is a call to stop running, to stop hiding, to confront the inner enemy, not to destroy it, but to integrate it. Because here's what Jung discovered: your shadow is not just your darkness, it is also your potential. It contains the strength, authenticity, and wholeness you've been seeking, but only if you have the courage to face it. Master your shadow, and you will master your mind. That's where this journey begins, and it begins now. From the moment you are born, the world begins shaping you, teaching you what is acceptable, what is lovable, and what must be hidden. You are praised for being polite, calm, obedient. You are scolded for being angry, jealous, wild, or sad. As a child, your deepest need is love and safety, so you learn quickly, if certain emotions or behaviors threaten that love, they must be buried. You smile when you feel like screaming. You say it's okay when your boundaries are violated. You become what the world wants and push everything else into the dark. This is how the shadow is born. It begins as a survival strategy, but over time, it becomes a prison. Everything you repressed, your anger, envy, fear, desire, ambition, even your creativity, does not disappear. It goes underground. It becomes part of your unconscious. And while your conscious mind tries to be good and kind and rational, the unconscious is busy building a storm. Jung understood this better than anyone. He wrote that the shadow is not just a collection of your flaws, it is the entire unconscious part of your personality. Everything you have rejected, denied, or failed to recognize in yourself gathers power in the dark. And because it is unconscious, you don't see it. You only feel its effects. You find yourself exploding in anger for no reason, sabotaging opportunities just when things begin to go well. You pick the same kind of toxic people. You explode in anger at the smallest provocation or collapse into anxiety without warning, and you don't know why. This is the shadow at work. Jung warned that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we will call it fate. That means what you think is destiny might actually be dysfunction. What you call personality might be unhealed pain. What you believe is your truth might just be a coping mechanism designed to protect you from parts of yourself you couldn't face. The shadow controls your emotions by staying hidden. It feeds on repression. Every time you suppress anger, it grows. Every time you smile when you feel empty, it learns how to wear a mask. Every time you silence your real thoughts to please others, it tightens its grip. The result is a fragmented self. On the surface, you appear in control, but inside, the shadow is making choices you aren't even aware of. It whispers through envy, flares up in jealousy, erupts in panic, and shuts you down in moments that demand courage. This is not weakness. It is the natural consequence of psychic division. You are not just your conscious mind. You are a vast, complex being shaped by memories, instincts, traumas, and desires you've long forgotten or buried. To ignore this is to live as a puppet, moved by unseen strings. But here is the turning point: awareness. The moment you begin to observe your own reactions with honesty, without judgment, denying, or escaping, you take the first step towards reclaiming control. Real emotional mastery doesn't come from suppression or denial. It comes from integration, from knowing your shadow, feeling its pull, and still choosing consciously. You cannot master your mind while hiding from your truth. The mask may protect you, but it also prevents you from becoming who you truly are. To survive in this world, you had to wear a mask. Jung called it the persona, the image you create to fit in, to be liked, to avoid rejection. You learned early what parts of yourself brought approval and which ones brought punishment. So you adapted. You smiled when you felt angry. You stayed quiet when you wanted to speak. You became agreeable, capable, pleasing, anything but real. The persona is not evil. It is necessary. It helps you function in society, play roles, maintain relationships. But when you confuse the mask with your true self, you begin to die inside. Slowly, quietly, you forget what you really feel, what you truly desire, what makes you alive. And behind that polished surface, something begins to rot. The shadow grows. Every part of you that didn't fit into the persona, your anger, lust, envy, grief, insecurity, was pushed underground, not gone, just hidden. And the tighter you cling to the mask, the more violently the shadow will try to break through. That's why so many seemingly perfect people live with secret anxiety, addiction, rage, or numbness. They have sacrificed authenticity for acceptance, but there is a cost, a soul-level cost. Jung wrote, "The persona is a mask for the collective psyche.
It makes people identical in their behavior, but it buries their individuality. When you identify with the persona, you disconnect from your depth. You become emotionally fragile, easily manipulated, constantly performing, but never at peace. You wonder why relationships feel fake, why success feels empty, why you can't rest even when everything looks fine. The answer is simple. You're not living from your center. You're living from a role, and the shadow knows it. The path to integration begins by dismantling this false self. You don't have to destroy the persona, but you must stop worshiping it. Begin by asking, who am I when no one is watching? What parts of me have I exiled to seem strong, kind, spiritual, successful? The persona betrays you when it becomes your prison. True freedom begins the moment